Good morning and welcome to the Help a Heart show, where we follow our good friend Sammy Cleef's heart transplant journey from beginning to end. Oh, welcome, Sammy Cleef.
Hi.
Who is Sammy, and how did you end up coming to Swift Current?
Well, first, I would like to thank you for doing this and thank everyone that been part of this journey and been helping out in many different ways. So thank you all. Thank you, Swift Current. And to answer your question, who is Sammy or how did I end up in the Swift Current? It's a long story, but to make it short, I was born and raised in Lebanon, and when I was 16, I got a scholarship to come to the States to study in the States.
Right. Yeah.
That scholarship wasn't full scholarship, it was partial scholarship because at that time they gave it for people that finishes high school before the time or early or skip a year or so on back in the days. And it was expensive to come to the States, but my mom, I remember at that time, my mom sold everything she owned in jewelry or like even her wedding ring and everything because my mom and my dad were divorced at that time.
Right.
And she was a single mom, so she didn't have money to send me, but she owned those, the only thing she had. And for a Middle Eastern woman, that's a lot because that's what you have for when you become old. That's what you're supposed to use for money and expenses because there is no CPP or old age or anything like
Benefits.
that
Right. Oh,
back home.
interesting.
So yeah, she sold that, and that was my first year tuition at QNT, University of North Texas.
Wow.
So I spent a couple of years there, and I transferred to Wayne State University. I graduated from Wayne State, and that year, the war broke in Lebanon, and as an international student, I either had to go back, I just had to leave the country, and one of the options was to come to Canada, and I ended up in Windsor, Ontario, and then in Halifax. Um, and now here I am in the Swift Current. So I've been
Oh,
all the
wow.
way. Yeah.
Wow, that's quite the journey that you've taken. And you've done your schooling through in the States and in
And yeah, I went,
Canada.
yeah.
So what kind of schooling do you have then?
I have business management and I have also my nursing, and I'm working on my on another degree. Well, I should say I was till this has happened. The heart issue.
Okay. And what is it that you're currently dealing with? Like,
My heart condition is called hypertrophic cardiomyopathy, and the best way to explain it, it's um, when your heart grows by heredity to be bigger than it's supposed to be. So I
right.
literally have a big heart.
Well, I know you well, and it's
So what's it's not something I have done, or it's not a lifestyle, or or is it because no, it's just a heredity thing. And actually, believe it or not, I'm the lucky one in my family. I have my sister who had that condition, and she passed away at the age of 16.
oh,
I remember,
that's sad.
yeah, I remember like we were going to the school in the morning, and she was running down the stairs, and she collapsed. And I was like maybe 7 years old then, and I'm like didn't know what happened, and I was just like trying, Sissy, wake up, like I thought she
Yeah.
doesn't want to go to school because as a kid, no one
No one wants to
wants
go
to
to
go.
school. Yeah.
So to me, till this day, I can remember that moment when she was like, laying on the floor, and me not believing her, and
Right.
thinking she's acting up. Well, like, Sissy, let's go. And then I start seeing like white film coming from her mouth. So I knew then
Oh, wow.
that's it. And I started screaming, and my family came, and they took her to the hospital, and she was pronounced dead. So everyone thought it was just a regular heart attack then.
Yeah.
And years after, I actually was like in Canada for like 4 months or so, and my mom died. And my mom wasn't that old.
Yeah. How old was your mom?
When she died was 50. Like,
Wow.
yeah.
That's
So,
very young.
yeah. So, but people assumed, okay, there is a heart problem in the family. So they started doing some testing and stuff, and they couldn't figure it out because the one with it died. But my brother, who was at the time 38, also died from the same condition.
Wow.
So when my brother died, it was like, okay, that's not a joke. There is a problem in the family. We need to check that out. Back in Lebanon or back home, you know, even doing the testing to see if you have it or not is expensive, and not many people can afford it. And like I know with my mom being a single mom, it wasn't it wasn't something that she would have done to check. She would have sent us,
Right.
but she would have not. So yeah, like it just gives me a new perspective about life in Canada. And I mean, you might complain about the traffic or the wait list for some type of procedure, but you are lucky to have your family and your kids have access to what we have. And
Free medical
yeah,
care. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So when did you find out that you had hypertrophic cardiomyopathy?
cardiomyopathy.
Yeah.
It was in 2010. I like right after my mom died, a couple of years after my mom died actually, and then before my brother died, like in between.
Right.
But I was here in Canada, so
The testing was probably
yes. And then as we were going, they said, okay, well, at that time I was stable, and a pacemaker ICD would help with that condition. And there is a surgery they can do. They make the muscle smaller,
right.
but at that time they didn't feel I would need any of that surgery treatment. Just
Right.
the ICD pacemaker is fine. So they put the ICD pacemaker, and as the years go by and I'm getting older, and they notice that the heart muscle and the inside of it, it's just getting bigger, way faster rate that
Then it
they
should.
should,
Yeah.
and the surgery itself will not do them good. And then they start looking for a heart transplant. But again, they were saying, okay, well, it's growing fast. That within 10 years we might look into it. But this year it grew so much in a way that, okay, we need to get you a heart now. Um, Otherwise, you will die. So it just went from something you should start planning for it now, might happen in 10, 20 years, to something can happen 20 months, now to something can happen 20 days.
Right.
So it
Right.
just, everything changed in a very dramatic way.
And how fast did those things change? Like, when did it start? Like the sudden changes,
Altogether started around 6 to 8 months ago.
right?
Um, like I was at my cardiologist in Saskatoon, and he said, well, we should look into listing you for a transplant, but your weight won't help. You need to lose some weight. I start losing weight. Um, and then after I lost, during losing weight period, I got a heart failure. I end up in the ICU, then airlifted to Saskatoon,
Right.
and that was a warning sign that actually the heart is failing. Um, then the Edmonton team became involved, like more serious, because at first they were scared because of my weight. So, and not too long after that, I got another heart failure, and till a couple of weeks ago, I got my last heart failure, and that one, the third one, that took a big toll on me.
Right. And you can feel the difference.
Yes,
Yeah.
like my life has definitely changed.
Yeah.
It's very hard, for example, to plan your day. If I'm gonna come here and see you and talk to you, that mean I have to plan it. Getting up in the morning, getting dressed, not having any support, not having any family, not having. It's
Right.
hard.
And it
It's
takes
hard.
you longer and everything to do
Yeah,
things that maybe we take for
for sure,
granted.
for
Yeah.
sure. Like even talking to you right now, I have to pace myself, even though it doesn't seem like it. But I kind of because I kind of pick up and just
Yeah.
yeah,
So shortness is breath.
yeah,
Shortness of breath is something that you
shortness,
experience.
and you're just you know look at it like your car is out of gas on an empty tank, and you're trying to reach to the gas station. That's me since I wake up in the morning. I
Hmm.
run on the empty tank all day, and just hope I'll get to the gas station on time.
Well, I think you're doing a really great job.
Thank
You
you.
seem to have a lot of energy. So,
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, you learn
but
to reserve it to
yeah.
for times like this.
Well, that's awesome. Thank you for sharing that with
Thank you.
us. I guess that's all we have for today.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
thank you,
Yeah.
and I guess there will be another episode of this,
Yes, absolutely.
and yeah, our show is brought to you by the Community Baptist Church. So, thank you guys, and
Thank you very
we'll
much.
move forward to another episode. Looking forward for another episode. So, thank you for watching. Bye.
Take care.